Well, for real though, never actually interacted with 9mm in any way. I've literally just texted Firewheel like, "Yo, bro, revoke that," because I know he was using it for Solid X and stuff. And God, that would be the worst thing is if all the LPs got removed. And warning people for a long time, bro. Like this, like I had no problem with them existing and doing their thing, but at the end of the day, man, if you're gonna put your money in places, you might want to put it somewhere where like the guy doesn't need to feed his family in his village. I don't know if it was this guy or not that did it, but I mean, it looks like it was him from the data that you've put out there.
Kind of devil's advocate position. So the first thing was we had Stylo put out a 37-minute rant video where he just went in on all of us in Pulsechain and just went crazy. What he saw, right, was Giga. By the way, I've been rugged by Giga. Okay, so let me just put that context out there, okay, before people like cabal this, cabal that. Basically, they said that Giga, because Giga had purchased up some 9mm and then sold it for profit, he purchased up $2,000 worth of 9mm and then sold it for $5,000, that he was the rugger. So he had sent 5,555 pulse, a very small transaction, as he was selling his last clip about like 30 minutes before or an hour before, and he sent it to the rugger wallet. All right, so he sends a pulse transaction to the rugger wallet. Now, he made his first purchase of 9mm after the 51K clip down by the rugger wallet. He had done that 32 minutes after that happened. The price was already going back up. So in terms of being optimal, it was not an optimal purchase. But, he made the play, right? He saw the dip going down. He saw that Tang Gang weren't reacting. He bought. And then on the basis of them trying to protect their DEX chart token price, he made a play. So, me and Giga have got our own differences, but I just showed the data. Like Stylo was going off on it, and I'm like, bro, this is the facts. Now, on the opposite side, I'm hearing that Deor is saying that it was a close friend or family member or someone he knows who did the rug, but he hasn't doxed the guy. So why didn't you dox your dev? Dox your dev and put him to shame. But the truth is that a transaction from your public wallet was sent to a intermediary wallet, and that intermediary wallet sent it to the rug wallet some pulse, and that rug wallet did what it did. So that's where the suspect nature of the transaction tied to Deor, which I believe it's tied to Deor. I think Devor's rugged it. That's where it comes from. Papa Bona, how you doing, man? How's it going?
Oh man, I'm pot hungover. What the do I have to deal with this today about? You said almost exactly what I know, which is it's interesting that there's this silly roundabout way by which the Rugger's wallet was funded by a dev, the inside job type of thing. Why would somebody be that stupid?
Why would they be stupid enough to fund that wallet?
Well, no, to have a super obvious tie back to the org. I don't understand why someone would be that dumb to cast blame. Maybe it's a smokescreen. Maybe it's just so stupid that somebody wanted to make it look like this. Otherwise, Occam's razor would say that this is an inside job, and there's your culprit. There's the address. There's the inside team. I don't understand what I'm really here. I mean, I don't know enough about this yet. I've been listening for 3 hours this early morning, and now I'm jumping in with you guys. I'm here to collect information, but it really pains me that we couldn't all collaborate and make sure that these things don't happen. I mean, trustless is what we're about.
I mean, 9inch has been making sure this kind of stuff doesn't happen on their platform.
Oh no, I was waiting for that ad to come out. I'm really happy that
Chill it, bro.
you say that. I'm happy to hear that. I'm really happy to hear that, and that's inevitable in this specific space that we would say that. But I'm wondering where the self-governance is in this as a community. Are we ever going to collaborate and have a quorum of maybe all DEX operators to actually go and, cover the basics of security posture and cast blame collectively when these things happen and shun those that do and just get off the dexes? I don't understand why we can't all just play together under one umbrella. Is that ever going to be possible?
Yeah, I think that's a good point there, Public Boner. It's quite difficult to have that collaborative edge, but then when you have competitors going at each other, well, actually, no, we shake hands very, very much so we shake hands with people that are completely different to us. So I think, I mean, we had a space earlier on today, and it was like even guys like Buck and B Roots, they don't get on. They've had differences in the past, but they were collaborating because they were pissed off, man. Like you throw stones at someone for long enough, expect them to throw a punch back, you know. So I do feel sorry for the people that staked their 9mm. I know that the Firewall was one of them, and I think that the Firewall has lost money in that hack, or whatever we want to call it, that mishap. And you know, they're already saying on streams like, oh, it's only 50K. No, it's 64K. It was actually 150K, but the what was sold down. So it was 150K value, but the slippage that was eaten up was approximately 100K, because
And then there's a follow-on lack of confidence that would follow as well.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the thing. It's like, how can you trust it? I put out the data. I just state the facts on what the wallets have done. It's up to you to decide it, but I think Buck had put something. He said two really good things, and K9 will probably be able to repeat it better. It's either a scam or it's just complete incompetence. And there could be a reload scam in the making. You know, there could be a reload scam being loaded up right now. This could be a play for another scam a little bit later on, which people will have to take into account. Or it could be he's just trying to help the protocol, and genuinely his friend hacked the protocol and rugged it. Hexy,
I think the Occam's razor thing, what Papa B said there, like the most obvious, the most obvious, explanation is usually the correct one. And whether it was Dever himself or whether it was one of his buddies that was working for him, like, the thing is, as a founder of a token, you can't let anyone have access to that deployer wallet ever. I mean, Kino was in the space earlier, and we asked him this because we've got 8 devs working for us at 9inch, right? And I said to him, "Do any of those have access to the deployer wallet?" He was like, "No, of course not," because even like, imagine you're paying your devs, even if you're paying them like $100,000 a year, right? If they've got access and they can potentially steal $1 million, let's say, like, that's 10 years worth of work. Why wouldn't they do it? It just doesn't make sense. Like,
Hexy, I will add to your points here that it kind of sucks, and the fact that you have to choose between incompetence and scam also sucks. But there's also a deeper issue here that I see after the fact, because I think we're like 10 hours, maybe 12 hours into whatever happened, and I still keep seeing like influencers and like big names in Pulsechain. They're not, like, obviously they're not apologizing. I'm not waiting for like an apology, but they're also like they're downplaying on what is happening. They're sending a signal saying like, okay, I have some bags here, I need to protect them. So I will tell everybody like, okay, this kind of sucks, but this is silver lining. It's only the website, like a little feature on the website. The rest of the website is fine. Look at the charts. People are buying it up. What they're actually saying is, I need to save my face because I've been shilling this piece of trash for the longest time. I'm deep into this ecosystem with my bags, so I'm not willing to say what the truth is. That maybe we should stay away from stuff like this. Unaudited stuff that people will connect their wallets to in the future. We don't know if this is the beginning or if this is the height of the bull that's going to happen on this deck. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter if this was a scam or if it's just incompetence. I just don't like seeing the influencers putting up the message that, we'll be fine, we'll be fine.
Say this is fine to the people who lost loads of money today. Like I know guys who've been buying up the 9mm price for ages, right? And they're staking all, and then boom, they lose all their money. I see we got Mr. Funding Jim himself up here. Are you familiar with this situation? Do you have anything to add?
I'm in kind of a public space. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, you'll come through.
Yeah, loud and clear, man.
Yeah, I don't have any hard opinions. I think that if you look across a lot of different things, and again, I'm not trying to take away some of the angst over when a rug happens, when a DEX has a failure, when a protocol has something that is promoted as being immutable but isn't. I do not know enough about the terminology. I hear things like this is a proxy contract. I hear things like the developer keys need to be protected. I hear these things for basically the 8 years that I've been around smart contracts. And I hear it not just in this ecosystem and other ecosystems too. To me, it matters most. Let me just say that if Wise locked all of their supply into V1 on Uniswap, and then basically all of the volume and trade goes to V2 and V3, and as Uniswap progresses, then Wise got fucked. And how did Wise participants beyond the founder remedy that? I don't know, because I didn't stay inside that ecosystem. I didn't pay attention to it for the past 4 or 5 years. But I remember for about 6 or 7 months hearing constantly that Wise was going to go to zero because the founder or the community wasn't basically going to do a social consensus migration to something else. I hear this about, a lot of support because people have money, brand, time, sunk cost, if you want to call it that, in the ecosystem of Pulsechain, Richard Hart, Hex, all these different brands. And so it was spicy for a few months when Pulsechain or PulseX launched, and there had to be this announcement of sorts that V1 wasn't operating as expected, and therefore V2 had to be launched. I remember something about admin keys for somebody had to basically repoint where the buy and burn feature was going to a different supply as far as a contract address or something along those lines. And again, these aren't hate. These are everything that we've heard for 7 or 8 years is that social consensus is all that really matters. If the founder, the community, the brand, the new onboards, the enthusiasts, the OGs, if they are in disarray, then basically the price suffers. If you have a solution and you say, hey, I do not know enough about this particular quote unquote rug. I've heard that there were staked tokens that they got market dumped. I heard that there was a redirect or something like that, basically like a month of prep time. I saw a little bit of content. Really, I didn't see enough of MGC's stuff or Stylo's stuff. I know that this is a discussion panel, and it can be like like any other autopsy that we see constantly. Here's what happened. Here's how it happened. Here's these guys that were.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that, Gary. With Stylo, he just ranted for 37 minutes, crying about everyone in the community, and he made some points about some of the guys who are in a sniper group that have sniped contracts before, but he didn't address the point. He just said, hey, look, the guys have bought, this particular person, Giga, has bought and made profit off your heads, and he's rugged the contract, which sending a transaction to the rugged's wallet address, it doesn't make you the rugger. It's
Yeah,
and he's done that.
The protection side of me,
He's done that multiple other times. Sorry, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, the protective side of me, as far as trying to quote unquote help the harm, is I didn't really care for the fact that there's the rush to put stuff out there, whether it's positive, it's a warning shot, whatever it is, when there's who is actually doing the analysis that has some integrity inside this community, right? So they go through, I think MGC did a research thing, supposedly Stylo did something. Again, I haven't seen these threads. I just got off an airplane, so I did not see these threads. I saw the spaces going on. I wanted to hear more about it more than participate. So I'm on a learning curve. But people know, and it's been public, that I had bought these tokens or whatever it was, these NFTs or whatever, back when the Tang Gang and I were friendly, I guess. And I just basically have been uninvolved with a lot of the side projects, just because, again, I'm trying to get back to the fact that social consensus is what matters. If there's a fix, if there's a docs, if there's, hey, this is what happened, it was on me, someone got a hold of my keys, they brute forced and admin keyed, and now they took the staked tokens, okay, so blacklist the tokens that got taken, or buy the same dollar value back up to move the chart. Somebody has to do it, and it all comes to social consensus. Now, I saw Somi had made a post about saying positively that congratulations to people that made a 20x. Well, they only made a 20x if they sold. So if they bought 3 or 4 hours ago and then they've now sold a 20x and they've exited, you don't know that they're necessarily valiant. You don't know that they're profiteers. You don't know if they're part of it. They don't know if they aren't. You don't know. These all come to community social consensus, and that's part of what I think has failed over the past couple of years when it comes to Pulsechain brand.
It's a good point, man. I mean, yeah, congratulations if you made a 20x off the back of people losing a shitload of money, but you only actually made the 20x if you sell. To me, that looks like probably a dead cat bounce. I think it's going to be difficult for people to have faith in this protocol moving forward. for a variety of reasons, not just specifically this one thing that's happened. But I think this has just brought it all to light a little bit, and there are some serious problems with that platform. So
Do we see?
Well, what I like is I like that people are out there. Like I've met Hexy in person, I've met MGC in person, I've met a lot of the people that are on panel here in person. I still try to do that because, again, if you're going to be, in the trenches, so to speak, by saying, hey, I'm willing to be a founder, I'm willing to be like a promoter, an influencer, whatever you want to say, as far as this public, element of our industry. Then I think that's cool, right? I don't know Deva. I think he's been in a bunch of different spaces. I've always heard secondary kind of promotion about the founder themselves through back again when I was friendly with Orange Gooey or friendly with Too Spooky or Bullish or whatever. Constantly the spaces would be like referencing Deva's amazing, Deva's awesome, Deva, 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 Deva. And again, I do not know the guy. I don't know, or I don't even know who has the keys or how, if it's on a post-it note beside his computer. I don't know any of their security protocols. These are all assumed. And it's a call to like expertise. This guy's an expert because other people say that they're an expert. And again, if there's a remedy, if there's a fix, if people can be made dollar whole in some way, these guys have been running NFT sales for years. They're the most influential that supposedly always in their spaces say that they have weight and nobody else has weight. I saw that publicly Twos had said that he had 2 million tokens that were taken in his unstake and basically sell into the market. I saw others that said 600,000 or 700,000 or 900,000 worth of tokens. So like there was money there, and if they are basically have been earning over time and they want to save the reputation of the DEX that they've been promoting the most since before its launch and after its launch, then it really comes to the rescue. The rescue needs to be from the developer, the core community that always is promoting the space. Just like any other thing. Richard, the thing that I don't like about what Richard has done over the past time, there's all kinds of reasons to say why he has, and there's legal precautions and things like that. But like, I never saw an apology about V1, V2. I never saw a tweet that said V1 needs to be remedied with the V2. And it was basically skipped over. So like, I don't think that there's anybody that's like, holier than thou and Jesus in this space, in the crypto industry. So like, it really goes to like, how well are you going to promote your own brand? How well are you going to promote your own product, your own community? How well are you going to do that? Because that's really what, to me, moves the price. Maybe it's secondary in my opinion, but like, that's what I think of. I think something dies because community or founder or they don't stand by it. Like, they don't stand by it and they move on to other things.
100%. I also want to say that I've met Hexy Bastard in person, and a founder that really puts his face out there and shows up, and not only shows up, but puts together, launch parties and sacrifice parties and events for the product that give investors an opportunity to meet him, look him in the eyes, and realize this guy's not a scammer. This guy is serious about making an honest product and just continuing to do his thing, leading communities and trying to give everyone an opportunity to make good money. He's a good guy, and he's villainized all over the place, all over Pulsechain, just because he likes to, make a meme out of himself. But it's the attention economy. That's what works in this space. So big ups to Hexy and then the 9-inch team as always.
Let me second that. Hexy's one of the first people that I really wanted to make a big effort, or try to make an effort once I came to UK for that party thing, to go up and meet in person. And I thought of him as a living meme because I'd been watching some of his YouTube content, I think with the other guy, Turbo guy or whatever. But like Hexy has to me always been like a stand-up person. Again, he's more public than anybody else out of the DEXs. As far as like just public face recognizable, I see K9 constantly in spaces. I see Telegram spaces. I pay attention to content, so it's no negative toward anybody else as part of 9-inch. But I think of Hexy Bastard as like the brand reputation, and to me, like I've seen heat over what liquidity this protocol or that protocol puts into tradability and things like that. One thing I tend to think is, at least the people that I've, like Hexy, that I've known for more time, is there's always got to be like an insurance policy. You only know what you can control. Your insurance policy can be your reserves. It can be this idea of a treasury. It can be, a bank account. It can be a brand, whatever it is. Like, you have to think of what is my contingency. It's like Patrick Bet David constantly says, like, the future is bright, but always be prepared for like when something like this derails. So I think of like 9inch positively until something happens. And when something happens, it really comes to the character of the founders, the character of the people that have been here for many years, and how they deal with it. So it's the same thing, how 9mm and the core supporters, promoters, influencers, buyers, sellers, how they react is going to be more of a tell than, we no longer use a proxy contract, or we resolved it by making these people whole. It really comes to what restores your brand. How do you make it a positive for the people that have been participating and been stand up inside that ecosystem.
Daniel, I'll come to you in a
You guys
sec.
gonna make
I
me
just
cry,
see
man.
that Magic Carpet Ride's here as well. How's it going, Magic Carpet Ride?
Pretty good, buddy. How are you?
Well, man, well.
I only have a couple of things to say. One thing is, there aren't any people, or very few people, who made a 20x on this. Because if that was the case, the price would be back where it was last night. So that's kind of a moot point, and it kind of annoys me. Nobody's making 20x's on this. And the other thing is, if this was any other product that is on Pulsechain, if this was any other project, the Tang Gang would be going after it like hook, line, and sinker. Everybody would be the devil. They'd be going after it. As soon as somebody said we're cutting our rewards by 50%, they would go after that project. I don't understand why this is any different, especially since that they were trying to distance themselves from this project over the last couple weeks.
100% agree with you.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing to see. I mean, I'm gonna calling out by name, Somi. I really like Somi, but when I
I
look at
like
his
Sony
tweets,
too,
like,
but well, they talk about PulseX 100% all the time. Oh, they had to reconfigure that. That's been a narrative in that group for a very long time. If Buck's thing had a hiccup, if any other project in this ecosystem had a hiccup, they would be going after them with both barrels, 100%. But this is one of those things. Instead of like, it's like a prize fight where somebody got hit in the face and they smile and say that didn't hurt. And I think that's a complete bullshit.
You're absolutely right,
Daniel,
man.
the floor is
Mate,
yours. I see your hand
if
up,
that
man. Go
happened
ahead.
with 9inch, they would be all over us, man. Like, if that anything that happened with 9inch, they'd be all over it and just being horrible, toxic.
The floor is yours,
I'm
mate.
here. I think someone is talking.
That's all I really had. K9 and 9inch.
No, that's a good input. The other thing I'd say as well to what you're saying, I mean, this whole 20x narrative, right, from the bottom. Well, the guy who did do X's from the bottom was classified as the guy who rugged the project. So the guy who actually traded it and did like a 3x or 2x or whatever it was, he's seen as and I'm not justifying his actions, man. I've been rugged by him. Like, people need to know I've lost $1,500 being in one of his projects, right? So when I present the data, I just saw what it was. I saw the trades, and they were good trades. I mean, I didn't think they were bad trades.
Did you say that? Was that anything of weight? Was it like $1,000 it became 20,000? He exited. Basically, when I hear 20x, I just say that that's probably low liquidity. People that bought up, after there's been a spike for an hour. It happened. It's happened in other coins all the time. And what I don't like is, again, someone like Somi. I like Somi a lot. I like a lot of the content that he puts out there. He is a positive force in general about like optimism. Let's say hopium, whatever you want to call it. But I don't like that because I don't understand the tech enough, and I don't really want to. I wasn't in this to understand and become a developer over 8 years. But like when you have a failure of something, proxy contract, secondary staking contract, everything else forked has been immutable and a lot of billions of dollars protected on other chains, whatever that narrative is. What I don't like is when people don't know and they hear 20x or they see this thing play out and then they throw another $1,000 at it and then that gets rugged too. Like, I don't like the risk vector stuff. If one thing fails, in your car and it almost takes you out, like you're going to be a little bit more fearful about the next time you drive that car. And I think that's what brand reputation matters. So if these guys have been, running contracts, selling NFTs, becoming Giga Chads as they promote constantly that they are, as their way is the only way on this chain to succeed, they should have reserves, whether it's their own equity, their own dollar, their own coin, whatever it is, and other blockchains. Base, I think, is popular with these guys. I think that what is it, Chia and all these other things are popular. Like, it comes to brand reputation, and if they've been as closely associated with the DEX as they have been over the past 2 year and a half of promotion and then launch, it comes to those core people that are nameable as like, this is our DEX. Talk to everybody else's DEX. So it comes to brand reputation to grow.
On that point there, Gary, is the other thing as well. Like, I just want to make this really, really clear, is that if they were to replace it, let's say they do an airdrop or a snapshot of this, they owe $150,000. It is not 64K, it's 150K. Because you've got to remember that the owners at that point, the people who were staked, it was worth $150,000. The fact that the guy sold it and ate a ridiculous amount of slippage, that was his choice, right? But if they're responsible for it and if they are going to reimburse the people that lost that money, is 150K. So if you see any of them, or anyone for that matter, say, hey, it was only 50K or it was only 64K. No, it was $150,000.
Even 50K is still a lot of money, man. Like, for most people in crypto probably have less than 10 grand. So that's probably quite a considerable amount of money. And, obviously if the guy lives in India, like a fortune over there, isn't it, right? You literally see a millionaire in rupees, right? so it's quite funny. King Daniel's got his hand up.
I just pinned a message from Sami here, and I want everybody to take a look. And this is what I mean why I completely lost respect for this guy today. Is okay, so you have some bags. Obviously, you made countless videos of chilling them, and that's fine. Everybody wants to put their bags. But when something is so obviously happening and you need to get the truth out, I've always seen Somi as kind of like the influencer who is not like the other influencers. Like he's ready to actually go and put out his boots and go into the ground, like, and tell the truth for what it is. So today was extremely disappointing because obviously he can't say something like, okay, so if you go to this tweet that he just quoted here, he's quoting what's this guy's name, Stylo, and in Stylo's screenshot here it says, Buck, Money Gang, Gib, and friends all came out at the same time with the same story within an hour. Blah blah blah. Strange how they all had the due diligence ready to go with it within an hour. So basically, what Tom is doing here is he wants to say this, but he doesn't want to say it himself. So he's kind of being a coward here and using Stylo. He is using his quote, like, I'm not saying it, this guy is saying it. He even says at the end of his tweet that I know nothing, I'm just reporting news as it comes across to me. Well, there is so much news, man. Why did you just pick this one? Why are you picking stuff that is defending your bags only, and you're not putting any attention on the stuff that is actually given to you? It just, like, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't sit right with me at all. There's something really, really shady going on. If you have to, like, take something that is obviously, there's an obvious flaw in the thing that you're in, instead of just admitting it and like, okay, let's take a look at this. What you choose to do is that you take the most, like, conspiratorial fucking tweets from some crackhead guy. I'm sorry, like, I'll have to call him that, and put this as the tweet that you want your followers to see. Like, I don't know, man. It doesn't sit right with me at all.
Yeah, I'm just.
Can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel, and then I'll jump in.
Okay. Yeah, this is really directed to Gary, and I want to be really respectful, and I want us to have a respectful conversation. My question is just that I don't know why you are supporting the Tang Gang community, despite them being divisive, toxic, negative, and destroying this community. I can still fathom why somebody of your caliber that I respected so much, I looked up to right from the one I came into this community, will side them and sometimes, throw a little bit things out there against Richard Hart. I still don't understand. Can you please explain why?
Yeah, I don't know what the reference is as far as like the support. I think I have just about everybody with an orange block, or I've been blocked, and I haven't engaged with them since I made the announcement that I'd bought tickets to go to the Trump thing. So I don't know how long ago that was, maybe May of last year. And the last conversation that I had in person with them was with Bullish at the same time. And I wanted to make sure all three of them were talking at the same time, which was myself, Bullish, Too Spooky, and Orange. And my reason to do that was to say, okay, you guys are Orange Man good. I can bring, people that know something about NFTs. You guys are doing a lot of NFT stuff. Let's see if we can work together to bring you to the Trump dinner. That was the last conversation that I had. And that devolved basically within, I think, a week of that conversation, which was positive and all great. And, I think that they were trying to get whatever the guy, the founder of Chia guy or whatever, to go with me instead. And that devolved pretty much when Richard retweeted or made a comment about leverage trading using Buck's platforms. So he made a tweet, Buck made some kind of tweet, Richard highlighted it, and then immediately Orange went on a tirade against me in all kinds of tweets and screenshots. And I thought it was actually a joke at first when we were DMing, because I was like, this is out of character. What's going on here? So that's the last time I've been, if you want to call it supportive. I don't think it's worth time to go and do autopsies of things that disgust me, behavior that I don't like, things I can't promote to other people that I think are positive in nature, not Pollyanna, but like people that are trying to actually move this industry or this chain forward. So I try not to engage. So I've blocked everybody. So as far as like what's positive about, Tang Gang is that I don't see them in my threads anymore because I haven't engaged with them in, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, something like that, as far as I know. Now, Stylo was someone that he made some kind of like YouTube content about how pissed off he was. He's burning all of his content. He hated Hex, he hated Richard, or whatever it was. And just from like a human side, whether I got played or whether it was honest, I don't know. But I DM'd with him and said, hey, I hope things work out for you. Don't go suicidal. Don't get weird or something like that. So I did DMs with him, and then that DM led to conversation, which was, I thought in general, turning a little bit to be positive, more positive in view. And then he got shit on by the Tang Gang, basically for the same sort of reasonings. He's like, he was more supportive instead of like as hateful as he had been about like the result of his price of his bags. So anyway, but if I make something and it's like a positive thing for Richard for 7 years, and I arrange all this stuff, social capital, effort, money, time. I spent like $300,000 or $400,000 just like getting stuff together for Richard to promote. Back before Pulsechain launched. And if I say 7 years worth of stuff, and then I say I don't like that PulseX wasn't audited. I don't like that when it launched there was people that lost all the fees. I lost about $1 million. So like just in the fees thing, yeah, I have my personal bias, which is like just price. But outside of that, like I want these things to stand up to the character that's been promoted for 4 or 5 years. And the guy will do that. I'm hopeful. That's why I'm part of this community. That's why I still have bags, is because I hope these things turn around. And the guy that I thought was like the soldier, stand up to a truth to power, bring your heroes here to die guy, that guy comes back. I don't want that guy to come back. But like, if I say something about PulseX didn't launch flawlessly, everybody knows that. That doesn't mean that I'm negative on the ecosystem. Doesn't mean I'm negative about what the potential of Richard is. Just like I'm not negative on what Tang Gang can do. They have potential. Are they doing it? No, they're not. They haven't been. They're not like in a growth mode of like bringing 10x or 100x more people into this ecosystem. That's not what they're doing. But can they? Sure they can. There was a time where Orange engaged 10,000 people over the course of 3 or 4 days on a long space. Like Olympians and all these other kind of public figures, and it's all about the Nakamoto coefficient and all this other kind of content for years. And so these people can become destructive or they can become constructive. And I'm just, I'm in general hopeful. I'm hopeful that that's what happens out of everybody that has a project on this chain.
Yeah, I mean, well said, and I understand what you just said.
Good point.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, go on.
So well said, and I understand what you just said. I mean, from what I can get, I probably think maybe you have some personal issues with Richard Hart. But my whole thing is that from day one, when all these issues started, I think I brought it up, and I think you were on that space. I was surprised that, I mean, I could see you throwing some emojis up, down, and stuff like that, but I knew that you were not supporting what I was saying when I called out GUI that he was destroying the community. And I was talking to Too Spooky at that day that Gui was going too far the way he was acting. So obviously you're a military man just like me. There's a saying that when you see a substandard and you walk past that substandard, you just created a standard. So I will employ you guys. I will expect you guys, that most of you that I really look up to, anybody anyway in the ecosystem, when you see something that is not good for the whole community as a whole, or just for the fellow human being, we should speak up. It's not about, because I think at the end of the day, I just made a decision that a lot of people got scared. What people fear the most is public humiliation. I think a lot of people got scared and they were not willing to stick their chest out. But at the same time, I see them sticking their chest out for Richard against Richard Hart, because he's not streaming, he's not here. But we all know the sequence on the event, on where we are right now. We know it's not this guy's fault. We know he's being sued by the US government, not even by any other person right now. Maybe if he's having a beef with Vitalik or any other founder, we understand. This is somebody that they're going after him. He's not going to have everything, all his duck in a row. His software is difficult. We spent 2 years waiting for Pulsechain to launch. He's not going to have everything straightforward. But we should understand right from day one that we are all here because of this guy. But it's kind of baffles me that the mouths that he has fed can't even speak for him. A lot of people in the community, people that I think will do the right thing. I will tell you this, and I'll tell anybody: Tang Gang has been the worst group in the Pulsechain community. If I don't care what they're trying to do, if they're branding or not branding, means and stuff like that. If I cannot bring my 17-year-old kid now that you have met, Gary, if I cannot bring him around you guys, there's something wrong. This is
No,
like the future.
let me add to that. Again, I respect a lot what you just said. It is about a boldness, and it is a lot of it is again it rests on the shoulders of Richard, a high percentage, because he wanted the love and attention of hundreds of thousands of people, and in my view, he wanted to be the number 2 or number 3 guy in crypto. So like Satoshi, Vitalik, and Richard is like in my mind his goal, and the love, adulation, scoreboard, point system, whatever you want to call it, of like what crypto is to different people. That's because Bring Your Heroes Here to Die is the launch of Hex. That's the history, in my view. That's why there was gravitas. That's why it went to 10,000x. And yeah, maybe I'm more cynical, not specifically about Richard, but about like everybody, in whether it's in business space, whether it's in family alignment or misalignment. Maybe it's a political season thing. You see Orange Man good. You see Richard. I like Trump. I like his character. Some people think he's a villain, think he's evil, think he's socially miscalibrated, think he's going to be a dictator forever. But like the guy has lawsuits on a daily basis. You see other people in the crypto space that are obviously going through a lot of silence, chilling effect. You're going to get sued. All your assets, you're going to go to jail forever. Ross is still in jail. Ross Ulbricht. Like you have all these different references that you saw. What's his name? Roger Ver. Get arrested in Spain. His tax thing, or whatever, not that long ago. So you see, I understand the risk factor. And you know why? Because we all have it. Everybody here has a public face, has some kind of risk and reward, hopefully, by being and promoting cryptocurrencies and the freedoms you want to espouse, as like freedom of speech. Like that's all great. But when it goes to Richard, like I've never seen a tweet, I've never seen a statement, I've never seen a content that says, hey guys, I'm not going to make any more content until this is resolved. I've never seen that. We all put that out there. We all say, this is the reason, because the lawyer said this, the 11 lawyer said that, the 14 devs are working in the background for years to make this PulseX flawless. Like there has to be some integrity to what people say or tweet. Richard hasn't said this is why I'm not participating for the past year and a half that Pulsechain has existed, right? So we assume that because it protects our bags, it protects our brand, it protects our sentiment, it protects our enthusiasm. That's my opinion. That's just it's how I'm playing. Who is Richard Hart? Now, when it goes to you specifically, King, I like you a lot. I came out to meet you specifically. I'm very thrilled over the memory of meeting you and your family, and I like that you are in these spaces frequently for the past several years. And I like the viewpoints that you put out there. And I think that you've tried to work with Tang Gang in the past, and then you probably felt like me, stunted or kicked in the balls or whatever it is, and then it becomes like a personal thing about these guys. I'm not defending them. I'm saying that that's what I observed. And to say, like you said, as a military man, I was a military man for 11 years, and attention to detail, calling out, when you see something, setting the standard. I recognize what you're saying there, but those guys are not in uniform. These are people that are choosing to put their time, the resource of their brand out there. They're choosing to put themselves on the skyline and be a target. It's what they're choosing to do. And yeah, they should suffer or they should win, just like anybody else is so bold. I appreciate that. But like, I would.
Can I speak on that real quick?
Just 1 second. I would rather that, and again, preference, but you're going to do what you can with your time, your resources, your emotional, state, how you feel at the end of a Twitter space of 2 or 3 hours of investment. How do you feel? What can you do from that? Is it productive? I would rather see you work on your projects. I know you're a developer. You work with your brother. You do all kinds of different stuff inside the space on top of being a community enthusiast. Like, I would rather participate in spaces that you're in because you're talking about products that you're putting out there. That's your brand. I don't want to see you and your enthusiasm squandered by trying to basically bring up or bootstrap a different community or different group or other people's opinions. I'd rather see you build, and I'd like that from everybody. Like Richard says all the time, to ghost what you don't want to see. And the algorithms of social media reinforce and put that trigger in front of you constantly because you engage it and I engage it. So my solution is I got to take it out of my timeline. It hurts my emotional and my intellectual capacity. It demotivates me to participate. I take capital and put it to other things instead of buying dips because I hate it. It drives me crazy. So I just
That's exactly why I blocked all the Tang Gang guys that were giving me shit.
And that's the thing is,
what's the point?
Hexy can be productive. K9 can be productive. Work on their contracts. Work on their Ethereum chain. They've got an Ethereum DEX. Like, I want to see promotion of stuff out there. I love the events when they happen. I'm the one that has been out there for a while saying, I don't like that 50 million gets pulled by one community and then I don't see them at any big events. This event just happened in Singapore like a few weeks ago. I don't see them there. Like, why? Why don't I see them there? So like, I would love to see like integrity from all of the founders and the ones that are integrous in my view, I support, I talk about, I invest into, and the ones that aren't, I ghost. I just need to do that.
So I just want to talk real quick about it because I literally just spent 2.5 hours in a Telegram, in the 9mil Telegram voice chat, talking with all of these guys, including Twos. And I have to say, like, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but Twos is a very reasonable. I agree with almost 100% of what he has to say, and I genuinely mean that. I think like a lot of what we're seeing is a lot of loud individuals in the Tang Gang. And like I said, I can't believe I'm really sticking up for these guys at all in any capacity. But just from the past experiences. But I don't actually think that a lot of these guys are malicious in a sense. I think there are a few. I think Orca is malicious. But the main point that I'm trying to make is kind of that I think that it would be better for everyone to kind of drop the beef. I get the 9 inch battles, whatever, fake, drama basically, but these guys are disenfranchised. And that's basically what I'm trying to say is, you don't see these guys at events because if we're being honest, a lot of these guys were the guys who bought the top of Hex in 21, and it's reflected in their public wallets. And these guys do genuinely think in an altruistic way in a system that will punish you for trying to think as your community first, because you'll always have opportunists. And that's just kind of what I wanted to put out there. People like Twos really are trying to behave in a benevolent way. He just doesn't have the capital, and he's definitely taken advantage of because of that, and from people in his community. So I don't want to say that it's all of Tang Gang that's necessarily bad. I want to put that out there because I did just spend 2.5 hours talking to him, and I agree with like probably 95%.
I do agree with what you're saying there as well, because like I've been saying this for ages, that it's just like a few bad oranges out of the group that make them all look bad. Too Spooky blocked me recently. I don't really know why, because I spent 2.5 hours on the phone with him. We had a very good chat. seemed like we were making good ground. I mean, I never had a problem with him. I always quite liked Too Spooky. He was a big supporter of like my first projects and stuff like that. So I've always got time for that guy. If he ever wants to unblock me, I'll be more than happy to chat to him again. It was just a couple of the guys in his community were making him look bad. And this was, well, making them all look bad, actually. And this was my argument, not argument, but this was my discussion with him at the time. And I know that he's a stand-up guy and that he's not a piece of shit, but there's just a few guys in their community. I mean, this wasn't really like a anti-Tang Gang talk. It's just that we never really went after them. Like the 9" 9mm battle only existed because of the Tang Gang. Like we literally never went after them. I actually came out publicly and said, I like what they're doing. I like that we've got competition. It's going to make us grow. It's going to make us do better. We needed V3 on chain. They were the first guys to do it. So I was all about that. Anyway, it's just because they were coming after us so strongly, telling people that, you know, making up lies that we had like bugs in our code and it was mathematically flawed and the farms would never work out and all this. Like they were spreading misinformation about us constantly. And that's the only reason that we ever did anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good point. We never had any beef with anybody, man, prior to this. And I'll raise you this question: if your if your modus operandi is basically just attacking people and that's it, then what do you really have? Like, where's your substance? Because it's been a long time now with the Tang Gang, right? And all I keep seeing is like, okay, whenever there's something going on, you attack. But there's no like substance. It's like empty, but the clothes you wear in your wardrobe, it's all just like the same color. And there's nothing new under the sun, man.
Well, so I guess what I was trying to say is so yes, I do agree that Tang Gang was the first to kind of come after you know, to start that battle. I remember seeing that happen. But like I was saying, is you're talking about, it's primarily a group of people who found each other because they feel disenfranchised, because they were literally the entire narrative that Two's, you know, speaks on is, he said he came into this community of Hexicans, he liked it a lot, and he reinforced the ideas that the Hexicans shared. And what he realized is that primarily most Hexicans weren't actually true to their word. They were staking, but they were also unstaking, and they were also, you know, constantly selling their bags, and they were also playing in meme coins, but they were constantly saying they weren't. And I think that his point is just like, he doesn't even care that you sell. He, you know, obviously, but he feels disenfranchised because he feels that, you know, I don't want to be the guy to show people to buy my Hex bags while I'm exiting on their head. And he felt like it was disingenuous.
And I completely agree with that. But we spoke about this at the time.
So who exited all the Tang Gang charts then? Because they're all down like 90% or something.
Well, so
I mean, who was that? Isn't that the same story? Like,
rather, I mean, Gibson,
same shit.
Opportunists. Like, there's a few opportunists within Tang Gang, but it's certainly not. It's not twos from any wallet that's associated with his main, and that's all I'm trying to defend. Is that he believes in it's a closed system of disenfranchised people, and he believes in a system where he can benefit the group, and he's being taken advantage of, and I think that that's where a lot of the, like, you know, the seemingly like nefarious or like malicious attacks are coming from, you know, on that side of the aisle, where it's actually, I think that there's better opportunity for everyone if you know, we figured out how to stop that. But it really is like a couple guys.
Very often, though, people who claim this disenfranchised label disenfranchised themselves, but they claim disenfranchised as though it was imposed upon them. There's nobody in that group where everybody said, you guys go make the Tang Gang, you're not welcome here.
No, I agree with you. They feel disenfranchised. I said they feel disenfranchised because they bought the top of Hex effectively. And this is exactly the point I told them in the VC, was I said that you understand that you're ripe for being taken advantage of with the mentality that you're speaking. And they did acknowledge that, like, because in the terms that they're speaking and how they want to benefit the group, the whole group of Tang Gang, and not necessarily show, you know, coins that they're selling, I guess, on people. And that's like why they speak on the V3 thing a lot. But, you know, really they believe that they believe that they got fucked up basically from OG hexagons, and I think a lot of this animosity goes away once the markets pump and they realize everything goes up basically together, as long as they're not dumping on each other's heads, if they're actually true to what they believe. But that's what I'm saying is I think you should honestly just invite Twos, because I think he speaks on it
Bro,
better.
he's allowed to come in. How many times have we invited him into spaces? He's allowed to come in.
Yeah.
I don't care who comes in. I mean, it's the lack of responsibility, and it's also one of the things is like I hear this narrative a lot. It's like, oh, Twos is not responsible for his actions. Maybe it's something to do with his own personality or his traits like that. But there's been multiple times, like Hexy had a conversation with him for 2.5 hours, thought he hashed it out with him over an issue a long time ago, and then the guy blocked him and then talks shit on the internet. And so it's like, okay, you're saying one thing, right? You're saying that you still want to be buddy and you're getting taken advantage of and this, that, and the other, but your actions is reflecting.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Yo, on that note, real quick as well. Okay,
Yes.
but still, he's
No,
trying to
that's
paint us with the same brush. Even today, like we literally was like open arms. Bring your liquidity here. We'll look after you. We've got 2 audits. Like we've got a founder that's out there and somewhat public, and we've got money for marketing, things like this, right? So like, bring your liquidity here. And then he tweets out that we've got the same bug, even though it wasn't a bug in code anyway. Like, I'm cool with Twos, but like I know what he's trying to do, man. He's trying to make us, he's trying to put us all in the same blender, like we're all the same. We're not. We've got 2 audits. We've got a really competent development team. We don't need money to feed our village. All right, so it's a completely different story.
Yeah, real quick, please. All I'm trying to say is not I hate them or dislike them or anything. I forgave them a long time ago. But you guys, people need to be careful. I know we're in the internet. We think it's not a real war. Be careful what you dish out. Because when if you live in the glass house and you throw stones, it's gonna freaking come back to you. That's what's going on with them. I knew something like this is gonna come up, but I didn't know how. But I'll leave the cost from them, because truly, from the bottom of my heart, I was like, these people are really messed up, and I thought they were gonna implode. It's gonna come from inside them, because they were just too negative, too toxic. They were liars. They were pointing fingers at everybody, trying to destroy anything that has to do with Pulsechain, Richard Hart, and everything. You cannot do stuff like that. We are human beings. That's the problem they had. They were a bunch of liars. They were delusional. So we have to point out the fact. Nobody should cover up for Too Spooky, cover up for anybody. They knew what they were doing, and they were happy doing it. I've been to their space. I've heard them talk. I've listened to them. I realized that I was dealing with the people that were crazy and delusional. Most of them are even broke. It's not that you have to be rich to act right, or you have to be poor to act right. Just do what is good. If you do bad, it's going to come back to you.
I get this as well. Like, I agree with all of that, like 100%. But I just want to touch back on one point that Giga made, that they're all disenfranchised and they bought the top on Hex. I think pretty much everyone who's talking now bought the top on Hex, like literally. But we're not out there giving off school shooter vibes, like sending death threats to people. And
when it's a single founder and says, I'm the one, I created it, here's my devs you're never going to know the name of, I'm the one that's going to put the brand out, I'm going to be the one that gets the respect when this goes to the moon, you're accountable when it doesn't, right? Because basically you're setting the tone, just like in CEO of any company, you're setting the culture. Your lieutenants and your front line can do all the work that you're setting out there as the culture. And when it goes to, again, if I came into a space, I think it's been known, I'm pretty sure it's been known, that I support 9inch. I've bought 9inch tokens. I stake into their platform, into the protocol. I don't announce particular coins or something like that, but I like the operation. I like how the platform works, and most of that trust came from meeting Hexy Bastard in 2020 or whatever that was back in London or whatever. So that was okay. My first interest in trust. Then it goes to seem like there's partners. I don't know how many people are on the team. I don't want to know, but it seemed like the 2 people are K9 and Hexy. So K9 wins because I trust Hexy. And then if I came into a space and I said, okay, these are the founders, these are the guys that are putting together on these different chains the same kind of operation protocol. Here's the mechanism. Here's the due diligence. Here's the audits. Then I'm taking them as 2 halves of the same brand. So if I come into a space and let's say that Hexy Bastard has a lot more than he usually does to drink, and he starts talking shit, while K9's in the space. And he talks, about other communities. He talks, just things that I find reprehensible. But K9 doesn't rein it in, right? So as co-founders, I think that that's K9's responsibility to mute the mic.
K9 encourages me, if anything, man.
What I'm getting at, you hear what I'm saying? I'm getting at the same thing with Triplet. He has his team, and if his team are in discourse with each other, I can't say that's the founder. I got to say this is the cohort. These are the people that are basically supporting the brand, and that's sadly, in my opinion, what has happened with Tang Gang. What I think happened was I launched tokens to try and talk about liquidity, how SOMI token isn't worth more than Bitcoin and Ethereum combined just because $10 of liquidity was put into a smart contract on GoPulse. So I made a smart contract, and then Too Spooky saw that content. I made a YouTube video about it, the different influencer tokens, and then he launched HOA and with $6 of liquidity. And on that founding, a brand was started but from what I understand as far as history is Orca or GUI basically reached out and says, hey, this is something we can run with. This is a brand. This sounds great. Whatever his Bengali conversation was to get Too Spooky to basically be a co-founder. And then Orange basically started that momentum, let's call it. And what I remember is, again, my last conversations that I had with these guys was a Telegram voice space that was set up. And it was because I was trying to find out who should I bring to the Trump dinner in Mar-a-Lago. And I thought at the time, positively in general, and at the time it wasn't as toxic or whatever. And at the time, Orange and I were getting along. And so I said, I don't want to speak to any one of you about my idea. So I was going to donate NFTs. I bought the Trump NFTs. I was going to donate NFTs, try and pair it with NFTs that can be launched on their platform. There's a lot of interest I had, basically for just kumbaya-ness of this community. And so I waited until we could basically all four be in the same space at the same time. And then we talked for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. That, to me, was because the brand Tang Gang was 3 people. It wasn't one. It wasn't just because HOA was launched by twos. It wasn't because Bullish was operating a lot of the front end Web 2 stuff to do it, Web 3 stuff, whatever, to do these things. I thought of it as 3, 1/3 equal 1/3. But that isn't how human beings operate. There's a dominant figure, and that dominant figure, in my opinion, could have been Too Spooky, but it hasn't been. It has been overshadowed in a lot of ways by Orange. And I think of the brand, like I heard someone say something about, I think it was King David, about HOA is, not HOA, Tang Gang is this, that, or the other. So do you say that Georgia Carrera is toxic and horrible and you get off the space the moment that she's in one? No, you probably don't. But she supports these things. There's a lot of people that rock that logo, just like the Hex logo or PulseX, Pulsechain logos or whatever, in my opinion. And some are not the founders or leaders. They're just the very loud and the very dramatic sides. So if you're a founder of something, if you're a promoter of something, if you're a brand of something, and you're very aligned and you hold weight in that ecosystem, especially, you've got to protect your bags by saying, I'm going to take the mic away from the drunkard.
This is kind of, first off, Gary, well said. Absolutely fantastic. This is kind of weird coming from someone who his show is literally called DGen Roundtable, but I am a fan of Tang Gang and HOA, right? And I have that coin. However, here's the thing that I've been noticing lately from these guys is exactly as you've been saying, pipe bombs and death threats and stupid shit like that, right? There are some individuals who just say things, all right? They just say things and I swear they don't even know what they're saying. They just want to be loud and be heard. And that's very childish, right? And so because of that, when I start thinking about hey, I'm going to go invest in 9mm, which is kind of their playground, right? I start thinking, okay, yeah, but you have these idiots, these childish weirdos over here doing this. And people like Spooky and Tangent and them, right? They're awesome, right? They understand things, they're smart, they got some brains, and so they know that there's consequences to the way that they act. Unfortunately, I think at this point there's enough riling up in the Tang Gang from these really loud individuals that they're kind of being taken for a ride at this point. There's really nothing more that they can do except try to rein them in as much as possible by sort of acting out the game. Hexy, basically what Too Spooky has done with you and 9 Inch and all that, I kind of think that's sort of the same deal that's going on there. It would make a lot of sense. But overall, we kind of need to talk about safety, because yes, this whole thing with 9mm happened and all that, right? But I think we need to go back and start thinking like, all right, how are we going to move in the future? Just us as a community, right? Pulsechains. And personally, like when you start seeing weirdos acting out, talking about death threats and things like that, you need to start looking at what they support and maybe trying to stay away from it a little bit. I know, as far as I can tell, it was basically the LPs that were what's the word for it? I'm forgetting the word. Forgive me on that one, but exploited. That's the word. It was the LPs that were exploited. However, you could still swap coins around, so that's really not going to be a problem, like the coin itself. So here's the thing that I would look at. We're all here trying to make money, right? Now, this coin, kind of like what happened with eHex, goes down a lot. Buy some, just hold it. Okay, don't put it in the LPs, otherwise you're probably going to lose it. But otherwise, everything else is just fine.
Just to correct you, sir, it wasn't the LPs, it was the staking protocol.
Yeah,
staking protocol.
The LPs appear to be fine at the moment. So
okay, so the protocol itself was just staking, right? Don't stake it. But the coins itself, like there's an opportunity where you can make money here, and I would jump in on that really quickly. Now, I was going through the hacker wallet, and I was just kind of looking through the other wallets that were supporting it and everything. And as far as I could tell, it was basically all 9mm. They have a ton of those coins, and there's at least $50,000 that I saw that are still in all of these wallets. So if they want to go dump it, that's like another 50,000 of sell pressure, right? Cool, fun. Overall, though, I think we need to go back to sort of the basics. When you are interacting with, especially when you got some weirdos just talking, and 9mm is their playground. When you go to play around on that protocol, on that DEX, maybe you should be using a condom wallet, right? A wallet that's sort of separate. It's not your main one. I mean, what is it that we always say in this space anyways? Only invest the money that you're willing to lose. Well, yeah, sure, right? Go ahead, put that money in, throw it into the stakes, see what happens. Bam, you lost it. Damn, that sucks. But we can still come back from this. For all those, like, my heart goes out to you guys who lost a lot of money in this. Personally, if I were you, I would actually buy more. I'd buy more because I believe you can get some of that money back as it starts going up. That's just my personal
This is ridiculous.
opinion.
Nah, this is stupid.
Hey, bro, let
Yeah,
me just quickly let
that
me
is
say something
ridiculous.
to this, bro. Let me say something to that, right? So
Yeah.
you're telling me, right? Let's just make it like this. If your girlfriend cheats on you, bro, right? Are you gonna take her back and extend your arms to her?
Depends on how much money she's giving me.
No.
You're
So
deluded,
if
bro.
you
I'm sorry, you're deluded, bro.
see a
You're deluded.
if you have a grocery store that's on fire, you're not going to run in and go get some chips. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, are they paying me $50,000 for
can't
it?
lie, bro. On that one, you're deluded,
150K,
bro.
yeah, 150K.
Yeah,
That was right.
$150,000. And
Yeah, I'll run in there.
just say
Why
that
not?
these guys are
You're not getting it back.
weirdos. These guys are weirdos, and we shouldn't hold them accountable for what they say or do. They're not related to the Tang Gang. Last week, I had a conversation that was a little heated on Twitter with frickin' Spooky. And in the next space, Gooey said that he was going to shoot Ty and I in the chest if he ever saw us in person. How do you just say, they're just they're just kids, right? That's not true.
Just on your point, Nate. So I know what you're saying. Like, if you have faith in a project and there's a huge dip for some reason, it's like, when I don't know, when the SEC thing happened with Pulsechain, if you bought that dip, you probably did okay. If you sold recently after or whatever, right? I get that whole idea of like, buy the dip, buy the blood, buy the fear, all of that. I completely get it. But I think what the issue is, you're talking about security and safety and things like that. It's possible, like, we don't know the exact facts, but it's possible that the person who exploited this wallet, this staking contract, still has back-end access to other areas of the protocol. So I think as a precautionary safety thing right now, you probably, buy some of the tokens if you feel like it, but I wouldn't be providing liquidity or interacting with that or doing anything on that platform right now because you know what can happen. You remember that Pulsechain thing that happened recently. Everyone lost all their money and then wallets got drained and all sorts. Like, if this whether it's Deor or not, if this man's up there and he's got access to the back end, he can remove liquidity, he can do all sorts of nasty. So I wouldn't be interacting with it at all. until we know the
Absolutely.
facts and what's going on. You got to remember, this thing's not audited, and the dev is anonymous and all sorts of shit, man. Like, we don't know nothing. So if you want to buy some 9mm tokens because you want to speculate that maybe it'll all go back and it'll all be right again one day, then yeah, fine, do that. But I wouldn't personally. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think the trust is just gone now. Like,
yeah, and here's the thing, Hexy. Like, you are 100% correct. Here's the thing about that. I have never used 9mm because I was watching these weirdos in the Tang Gang talking out like that and knowing, hey, this is not a safe place to be around because you have people who are threatening to shoot people in the chest, right? That's the reason why I have never used them. Instead, well, actually, I use 9-inch.
But Nate, why are you saying like buy the dip? You know, like
Buy
this
the
is the
dip,
one
buy
thing
the
I.
token.
It sounds like you're trying to
We're
seal
here to
your
make
bags
money,
a little
man.
bit, bro.
No, but I mean, like this is the thing about sometimes will say, like, this is one of the things that K9 was saying, is like, you can't say buy the dip when the protocol possibly is compromised. It's like saying go buy BitConnect now. Like, we don't know if it's completely safe. You know, it would be big risk. Yeah. I'm talking about the protocol itself. Like, I'm talking about.
Don't use the protocol. I'm not saying use the protocol. I'm saying
you're talking
buy the
about
tokens.
buying the tokens. But even 9mm, I think the token itself, right? It was sinking, continuing to sink, and then you know, what's the value proposition? It's already gone back up slightly. I mean, no,
Exactly.
Giga did very well now.
Exactly. And that's the point. I have never used 9mm. I'm not going to start using it. And I think I feel validated in seeing all these weirdos talking out there on the Tang Gang. Not the good ones, right? But the bad ones, just watching them being complete morons. And then saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm totally going to go use the decks that they love and basically have created. No, that's a bad idea in my mind.
Hey, Nate, did you buy the tokens when all this happened?
No, because I woke up and it was back up like 20x or whatever.
So, okay, why are you now telling people, if you didn't buy, have you bought yet?
Because what I'm saying is that, hey, there's $50,000 worth of these tokens that could still dump. And so that means that if it goes down again, I am absolutely going to buy. However, I'm going to buy the tokens. I am not going to be playing around on 9mm.
Okay,
But where'd you buy them on?
Whichever one I want. PulseX, 9-inch, Petus, or Pateus.
Probably Pateus would be the best, because you can still access the LP on there without actually going on the platform. So, but yeah, that was my point anyway. Is just that, like, if this developer guy, whoever it is, has got access to the back end, there's still a lot of nefarious that could be done. A lot of their contracts aren't verified and stuff, so we don't actually know what the crack is.